All right, this is a podcast affirmation with your host, Mnikeni Phakathi. This is intimate session with me on your KZN number one's podcast. We are very much blessed. We're very happy to have a special guest today, a gentleman who has done it all in terms of education, but also specifically looking at issues around ethics and governance. It's interesting to have HOD Govender, the doc, I like to call him. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you. And greetings to yourself and all your listeners. I'm actually excited to be on your podcast and I look forward to it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, as we continue, would appreciate your feedback. Make sure you keep it clean, concise, and constructive. It does help, and of course, we as much as we will end this podcast, we will continue engaging with the HOD, where our viewers would have shared questions and comments that require your responses and your accountability. Thank you very much again. Maybe as we start our conversation, HOD, you've been given a rare opportunity of leading a very important department, which is the Department of Public Works. And how would you define your leadership style from the time you were at a manager in a municipality to now?
So thank you for that. And I think I must admit that one's leadership style within the municipality versus one's leadership style in provincial government, it's at the North Pole and South Pole. So it's very contrasting. So at the municipality, one is dealing with, matters that require decision making, like right on the spot.
Yeah.
You're dealing with issues of housing, water, and many other factors that affect the community, most often negatively and most often positively. So you've got to find a balance. So from my early stages and my early, years of being in management, I'm a sticker for the rule.
Mm.
So I'm hard on standards but soft on people. But one thing I pride myself on daily is that if you work on output and you get the work done, I'm able to bend the rule but not break the rule, at times. But when you move into provincial government, it's a whole different ballgame. You're looking after the province of KZN. People have their trust and their faith in you. People are wanting service delivery.
Yeah.
Every person, every corner you go, they talk about service delivery. My style at the moment now is one of collaboration, bringing together people, imparting leadership, my leadership skills into them and letting them grow. So I've changed a lot from where I was to where I am.
Yeah.
I think those days I had zero tolerance in terms of any matters of misconduct.
Yeah.
I've managed to move past that now and look beyond that and look at conduct in terms of serious misconduct and those that don't warrant dismissals or suspensions. And I think you yourself and the viewers will note I've had a history of taking people, to court and dealing with them punitively. But I've moved now from punitive discipline to corrective and self-discipline.
Corrective discipline. That's very important. Maybe linking that, I think it would be important for our viewers at home to also appreciate the work that has been done in terms of dealing with workers that have conducted themselves in corrupt fashions and all of that. How are you dealing with corrupt officials as part of your leadership skill, applying it now to make sure that you have a clean department, as it were, to also have an efficient department that services people? You were talking about service delivery, services people better and faster, as it were.
No, thank you for that. I think firstly, let me start off by saying, even though my research is on anti-corruption and measures, in terms of ethics and how one should behave in the public sector, I think let me start off by saying that corruption erodes public trust. That's number one.
Absolutely.
But also corruption and people stealing from the state is stealing from myself and yourself.
Mm.
As much as we are people of public servants, but we're also taxpayers. And at the moment within public works, we have a zero tolerance policy for that. The difficult part comes in, and I think your viewers need to appreciate this as well, and most people don't see it, is that should you not act against alleged corruption or people who are corrupt, or the corruptors and the corruptees, you then perpetuate something that gets out of hand where the state gets captured. And we've gone through that whole
Yeah.
procedure and that
State
whole
cap-
process of state capture and
Yeah.
what it's done to a country like South Africa. And remember, we're a developing country, and we want to also show the community out there, mainly the international community, that we're serious about anti-corruption. So honestly, my take at this current moment when public works, together with the minister, MEC mayor, is zero tolerance on that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we're also saying that where people are forthright and are coming forward with the fact of saying, listen, I've been part of X, Y, and Z, and I've committed 1, 2, 3. We hand you over to law enforcement, and if you can help us recover those funds or recover those losses, we're willing to, work with you and work with the state in order to benefit the community at large and get these corrupt people rooted out of the system. And the some sad part of corruption is that when you do tackle corruption,
Yeah.
it has a way of a boomerang effect of coming and tackling yourself.
Taking you
And I've been a victim of that, whereby people would, spread rumors and, start those type of cornered discussions, about how do we tackle these ones who are tackling corruption. So it's a very
similar to what is happening to the head of police in KZN.
100%.
Yeah.
I've looked at those WhatsApp circulating as
Yeah.
well, and those cast serious aspersions on a professional individual.
Mm.
The unfortunate part is that somewhere along the line, we need the state to protect people who implement the rule of law.
Of course.
And we're very weak on that part, and I'm hoping that some intelligent person out there looks at that as a research part to say, how do we tighten up the legislation
Yeah.
and protect people who fight,
fight
corruption. So it's a gray area at the moment.
Yeah. Of course, you might become a victim of that. Talking of corrupt officials, you have a conference starting tomorrow. And part of the discussions would be around giving feedback to attendees and the general public about what you're doing about corruption and how you're cleaning up the department, as it were. So please share more about the conference and some of the details that people at home may be interested in.
Thank you. And I think I really appreciate your question, and I really like the way you phrased it. Let's talk about firstly the mundane thinking around public works or government is having another conference. I mean, I was saying to you just before we came to the podcast, I've attended probably over 200 conferences in my career spanning over 2.5 decades. And most of these conferences are talk shows. And most of the time we come there to tell you what we're going to do and not what we have done. So this time around, I think we've taken it a higher notch. And we're saying to you, listen, in the last 6 months, we've placed about 9 individuals under suspension. Almost the entire senior management has been subjected to the rule of law. And we've got 1 dismissal, the former director of supply chain management for the province of KZN in public works. We've got 3 other cases, 1 that started today. We've got 2 that's in the final stages of an award being made by the chairperson. And what we've done is we've said that all procurement matters, that means bid evaluation meetings, bid adjudication meetings, will be audio visually recorded.
For transparency purposes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that shows the public that somewhere along the line there's accountability, and nowhere in the entire process there's closed door meetings whereby tenders are being discussed in a little corner, documents taken out and replaced with other documents, and certain service providers benefiting from others, due to alleged corrupt practices.
Yeah.
So we're going to be telling the communities about that and the people who attend there. We also took it a higher notch by saying, let's bring people who have been successful in South Africa. Let's bring them down to ICC, let them descend about there and share the good story with people. Let's not look at Western practices. Let's look at what South Africa is doing and what we've done. One of them is Wandile Mtiane, a successful architect that's practicing in the United States, that's coming down, is part of a panel. We've also said that the conference need not only have speeches after speeches. Let's have panel discussions. Let's have a common person in the crowd like myself. Raise your hand. And pose a question to the National Minister of Public Works, to the MEC of Public Works, to the HOD of Public Works. Let's ensure dialogue. Let's allow people to get closer to government. Let's not create this void, between us and them. Let's not have that space. Let's bring people forward. But one of the key things this conference will tackle is the issue around private-public partnerships and the issue around peri-urban development with green technology, meaning how are we responding as a state to natural disasters? How are we
Yeah.
responding to the state, to the ordinary person on the street who wants to enter the property market?
Mm.
Now, we've not created that in the past. We've always operated in silos, meaning you'll have national government on the one
Doing
end.
their own thing.
Yes, you'll
Yeah,
have public works on the
municipalities.
other end, only to
Yeah.
realize that both are planning the same thing but on different spectrum.
Mm.
But combining them together, we can achieve more, bringing them together. And you'll see in the last, I think, 4 months,
Yeah.
we've signed that memorandum of understanding. It's one of the most historic moments between the city of Durban, the National Department of Public Works, and the Provincial Department of Public Works. And that, for me, is groundbreaking, because that then opens the door for us to formally work together in an organized fashion, and not in this disjointed fashion where we're planning in silos,
Yeah.
So the conference is definitely something that's going to be touching on crucial matters that affect the property industry. And one always talks to youngsters around the fact that when you want to achieve wealth, you measure wealth in terms of property.
Yeah.
But then the state has the most amount of wealth, and KZN Public Works has an asset base of 20.5 billion. How many people are benefiting from that?
Yeah. A few, I would argue.
100%. It's almost a market that's secluded for the elite as such. We're saying, no, let's break those barriers. Let's bring in those that have all the ideas but don't have the capacity to deliver on the ideas. Let them piggyback off government.
Yeah.
Let government contribute to unemployment. Let government contribute to social economic development.
Yeah.
But we can only do that by conferences like these, bringing people towards us and saying, let us learn from you as well. We don't have all the solutions.
Absolutely. So, some at home may argue, yes, you would have a conference, have commissions, and have individual discussions, but the question is, what will happen after the conference? I think most would be interested in that, at home, to say, what are we going to see, and how are we linking this particular conference, especially to the upcoming G20 in South Africa, as one of the historical moments as well.
No, thank you for that. I think even myself,
Yeah.
I started off by saying to the executive team that I lead within the province that post this conference, there needs to be action.
Yeah.
In order to have action, you need to have problem statements that we defined at each of the commissions. Attached to those problem statements, you need to have objectives. And we've listed objectives for each of the conferences. So from that objectives, we're going to be crafting detailed action plans. And to those action plans, we're going to link responsible departments and persons, either you from the private sector or the public sector, and how you come on board to unpack those action plans and deliver it. Then we're also saying that everything that one does is linked up to funds, meaning it's finances. But we know for a fact that the state is grappling in terms of having enough monies to deliver the services that we need to deliver. Hence, you'll see then we're bringing up a different way of doing business, where we're saying, let's bring the private sector over to our side. So post this conference, there will be a detailed plan of action, and that plan of action will be implemented over a medium-term expenditure framework. Now, linking it to the G20, I had the privilege of reading Dr. Saval's presentation that he did on climate change at Davos that's running at the moment.
Yeah.
And he spoke at length as well about how South Africa is part of these things. You will see that we've listed this conference as Africa's biggest or largest property management conference, where we're saying that don't think Durban only. Think beyond Durban. Think beyond the boundaries of SA. Bring in all the other African states into this picture, and let's see how we can tackle this whole issue around property and the management of property thereof as a global family.
Yeah.
So obviously, when the G20 comes down in South Africa, it's the most perfect opportunity for us to sell South Africa as a tourist destination, as destination for industrialization. But one thing we lack and we're scared about is the whole issue around artificial intelligence. And those are some of the things that this conference is going to deliberate on, is that how do we harness what the West has harnessed in terms of artificial intelligence. I mean, 20 years ago, one would say that there would be a private shuttle to space. You would say, you would laugh. 20 years post, it's happening.
It's happening, yeah.
People are going to space, like how myself and yourself would fly to Cape Town, because of technology, because of AI, because of the whole fourth industrial revolution. I think South Africa hasn't even harnessed 10% of what is out there. And we're looking at harnessing those things. And you will note that you've touched on it, that the G20 is also going to be futuristic.
Yeah.
Everything around technology now and infrastructure development and property, it's on everyone's tongue.
Of course.
It's the buzzword out there
Yeah.
now. So we want to bring that to the people of KZN. We want to see how best as government we can harness those artificial intelligence technology, leading technologies of in the West or even here within South Africa, and how we bring that together within government. Now, government's very scared of technology. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Yeah, maybe it's because many people still have the strange, I would put it, strange idea that fourth industrial revolution, AI, and so on, would take jobs away from people, would leave people unemployed, and all of that. But are we seeing a discussion in the conference that is talking about 3D printing of skyscrapers from the Department of KZN Department of Public Works?
No, definitely. I'm not going to give you my whole speech that day because I have not put
Yeah.
in the subject matter that I would be addressing at the conference. But indeed, that's what we want to do.
Okay.
In fact, over and above 3D printing, we want to make sure, and we tried to pilot it at the Esplanade Government Building, whereby we're saying even before we start construction,
Yeah.
we want a full 3D printout of what the place would look like.
Yeah.
We've established a lab now within Public Works where we want these
Interesting.
things to be there. We
Okay.
also want to bring in universities,
Mm.
technicons, FETs to say, come within Public Works, come and have a discussion. We've got engineers, chief engineers, we've got specialists, but we harness their potential probably 20 to 30%. If we take that over 50% plus, we can definitely have these type of printed documents or printed 3D images of buildings
Yeah.
within our thing. People can come forward, have a look at what we're developing. But somewhere along the line, government is just afraid of it. We're saying at Public Works, no, let's harness the fourth industrial revolution. Let's take AI
Take
to a
advantage
different
of
level.
that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's happening across the globe. You're still tuned to Podcaster Formation. This is your host, Mnikeni Phakathi. We have a special guest, the HOD for KZN Department of Public Works, Dr. Govender. Please continue to share your thoughts, your comments. We appreciate that very much. You can reach us, of course, in terms of email, info@podcastaffirmation.com. Our number is 069 110 948. That's where you can reach Podcast Affirmation, your KZN number one's podcast. Thank you very much again, Jody. Let's get into the controversial issues around construction mafias now. I would say controversial issues because they have a different point of view to what government is saying about their approach to stealing of worked for opportunities for other people, and of course stealing buildings that don't belong to them. What is the view of the department, and what are you doing about that, the construction mafias in KZN? Because it's a sore point.
I think let me start off by saying that the National Council of Provinces have addressed the issue of the construction mafia.
Yeah.
And the South African police has set up a task team within KZN. It's dealing with that.
Yeah.
And you'll note the recent arrest and the court case that's currently in progress with regards to construction mafias.
Yeah.
But that's things that are being handled at a high level. Within Public Works, what we have done, and I think our MEC needs to be given full credit for that,
Yeah.
together with the National Minister of Public Works, is that we're saying that in order to turn KZN into a construction site,
Yeah.
one needs to bring all interested and affected parties together. But one will not deal with rogue elements within the construction industry. Now, some may see construction mafias as a term that it's harsh, and it's something that casts aspersions on a certain grouping of people that want to get into projects. We're saying as Public Works that when you want to be part of a project, there's a system that needs to be followed. It can't be a lawless system.
Yeah.
I could not walk in this morning into podcast affirmation, take the mic and do what I want to do. There's rules and regulations. It's a professional environment.
Yeah.
You come in here, you can see there's order.
Exactly.
Similarly at Public Works,
Mm.
it's no longer a department where you can walk into any one of our projects and do as you please.
Yeah.
It's order. But what we're saying, through to the community liaison officer, to the forums that are set up, like business forums and so on, we've invited them. We've had 2 meetings with the Black Business Forum.
Yeah.
And there are people who are saying that, listen, we don't want to be painted with the same brush as
They
those.
don't agree to this.
They don't agree.
Yeah.
They don't agree to hijacking properties. They don't agree to coming on to a site where there's construction and demanding
Yeah.
that we want so many percent of that. They
Mm.
believe in constructive engagement. And we're saying, listen, let's create that platform.
Yeah.
Let's talk as one. And you will note that the MEC is going to touch a lot on the construction mafia and
Yeah.
how we can better work with each another and not have this thing in South Africa whereby if you want something, you must go and kick down the door.
Mm.
There's a handle. Turn the handle,
That's
open the door, come have a meeting
knock
with
if
us.
you have to. Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Our doors are open within public works. The minister has said it. The MEC has said it. We've been vocal about it.
Yeah.
And we have a zero tolerance for people who are wanting to hijack any construction site. And you'll note that the matter is sensitive. The matter is being dealt with at the highest level.
Yeah.
If the National Council of Provinces has addressed it, and I'm confident enough to tell you that it's not a problem that's only unique to KZN.
Mm.
And that's the myth we've created, that construction mafias are from within KZN. It's throughout the province of throughout the 9 provinces.
All right. Thank you very much again for that. Maybe as we draw to a close, there has been many times where the MEC, Mr. Mayor, had indicated that he is really pushing on digitizing functions of the department. You want to share with our viewers at home, how far are you with that? And are we achieving? What is the attitude of the workers that have been there for many years, and so on?
Thank you for that. I think digitalization and change is synonymous.
Yeah.
And when one brings about digitalization in the workplace, you quite correctly put it, there's a lot of negativity around it. And why should we digitalize?
Yeah.
But what we've done in the last 6 months is to show the people together with the staff that by digitalization, you actually work better, more efficient, more effective. We've started with the audio visual recordings of all tender processes. We've now worked on the fact that within management, we no longer communicate via manual memos. We communicate digitally, whereby I could send you a correspondence at 8 o'clock. At 8:05, I could have it back, as versus someone
Interesting.
walking down with a physical file. We about
Especially because people carry gadgets every day.
100%.
Yeah.
We're about 90% on digitalization, digitalizing the recruitment and selection procedure for the KZN Department of Public Works. And we're looking at next year rolling out a full digitalization around tender submissions and tender evaluations,
Brilliant,
meaning the
brilliant.
community doesn't have to print out documents upon documents and come and put it in a tender box, which is prone to someone taking out their document. So
Yeah.
we over 50% in terms of digitalization. The ministry, together with myself, is passionate about it. And as I said from the start of the podcast, that we don't want to be caught catnapping.
Yeah.
As the country moves, as the world moves, we want to move
You've got
with
to
it.
adjust quickly. Yeah.
That's what
No,
we do.
no, thank you very much again, HOD. It's been a productive one. I hope our viewers at home would continue engaging us on this one. And you've already committed that you will bring MEC. So I can confirm to our viewers at home that we will, in the near future, have MEC Mayor visiting us to thresh some of the issues that may be political in nature, because today we're more administrative. We really appreciate your time, and see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to your viewers as well.
Thank you.